Hello, my HTG pod viewers and listeners. It is 2020 US Open Week finally. I know we would normally get this tournament in the summer, but we're ready to hit Winged Foot here in September. It should be a very interesting tournament, and I've been seeing a lot of things about this golf course in Winged Foot and how difficult it will play this week. So we have a little extra segment for you guys this week, bringing in my friend Wes to go ahead and talk to you guys about this course layout. So here you guys will see the conversation that Wes and I have around Winged Foot, and Wes brings a lot of good information to the table. So hope you guys enjoy it, and let's get into it this week for the US Open.
Hey Wes, how's it going, man?
Good, B-Tow. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate you taking the time, man. Really appreciate you joining us for US Open week, albeit, a little bit different this year. We're talking US Open in September here. Headed to Winged Foot. As you probably noticed, I got the American flag over my left shoulder. You see, I'm stationed here in New York right now.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It looks like you're right there on Winged Foot. You got the best place to do all the analysis yourself.
Yeah, well, even if I were actually on site here at Winged Foot, I'd still be looking to you for your insight here, Wes. So give the viewers and listeners a bit of a background on you. Wes and I, lifelong friends, went to school together since grade school, and have been playing golf together since as long as I can remember, right? Yeah, so Wes is very keen on golf course design, is very knowledgeable when it comes to golf course layouts and what sort of skill sets we might see succeed, especially at a layout as tough as Winged Foot and for this US Open. So really excited for you to join us, Wes. Really excited to get some of your insights. We got Draftkings Pricing yesterday. So as you run through some of the skill sets that you think will succeed around this golf course, I might go ahead and throw out some names to you and some pricing just to, see how you feel about their prospects this week.
Sounds great.
Before I get you to go ahead and jump into, and a couple things I wanted to pick your brain on outside of just Winged Foot itself, I want you to tell me a little bit about what you've thought of this PGA Tour restart. And then I sort of want to hear a little bit of your COVID golf takes here. Particularly what's up with the pins in these holes that have like the raised lips. It's cost me a chip in or two. It's definitely cost me a 10-footer or two. And if it cost someone a hole in one, I would be livid. So I want to get your take on COVID golf rules as well for the casual golfers. But yeah, let's start with the more casual stuff. And for the viewers out there, as Wes is talking, I'm going to be doing what I usually do. I'll be smoking. So I will be smoking today the Growers Flow Kana, and I am smoking 13 Jacks. It is Jack Herrera, one of my favorite strains. XJ13 is a hybrid of Jack Herrera, also one of my favorite strains. This strain has been recrossed with Jack Herrera, so it's basically a double Jack Herrera XJ13 for you that are familiar with strain terminology. So while I spark up, Wes, you go ahead and let me know. I know you've been watching plenty of golf. What do you thought about the PGA Tour schedule since the restart? Everywhere from Morikawa's, PGA Championship win all the way to Dustin Johnson being absolutely unconscious lately. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, I think it's been a great restart. First of all, it's just good to have sports back in general, man. Those few months were rough, but especially for golf, I think it's interesting because, it's nice to see these PGA Tour players playing without any fans. I think actually that's the most interesting component. Seeing these guys play a course that's almost more recognizable to you and me that we play every day, that people are playing on the weekends. We don't have thousands of fans to stop our balls from going more offline, to spot those shots that we would never see anyway. So I really do think that's interesting, and especially without the stands that they usually have behind the greens, it kind of makes these players be a little bit more precise. And I think that's been great. Of course, it's missed at the major, the PGA Championship. It's still a major, but maybe lacking a little bit of the atmosphere with the fans, allowing Morikawa, who was, had only played in the one or two majors, if that. I think it was his first professional major, allowing him to kind of settle in a little bit more, but that doesn't take it all away from what he did, because that play was phenomenal, especially that tee shot there. Wow. So I think it's been great. A lot of good winners, a lot of interesting storylines. You know, maybe the other silver lining in COVID was Bryson, allowing him to just kind of go off the rails a little bit, gain a bunch of weight, kind of that interesting character that golf's been missing a lot. Yeah, no,
I love him, man. I really do. I love him.
Him in entertainment factor 100. You know, I'm not a huge fan, but nonetheless, I think he's only good for golf.
And you mentioned that tee shot by Morikawa. How about the stones to even pull the driver on 17 there, Sunday of a major championship? I mean, the kid's a stud.
Yeah, he's got, you know, I think we'll get into a little bit, but I think we've seen a lot of qualities that will give him a very long career on tour and a very successful career on tour. And what I think will probably be another successful week this week in a major.
I could not agree more. And he was actually one of the players I wanted you to talk about. So that'll actually segue us well. I'll leave the other fun topic, the COVID golf rules at our local golf clubs. We'll save that for the end as a sort of wrap up. And
yeah, I think, I love the 3-foot circle. I'm all on board with that. For
as long as I don't have to hit a 3-footer, I'm on board too. But let's go ahead and get into Winged Foot. So this golf course, when I like to first look at a golf course, I like to go ahead and troll social media once these players start playing their practice rounds and see what they're saying about it, see if they're posting any videos. The one thing I have noticed, and the place I want to start, if you don't mind, I wanted to go from the green backwards. Let's attack this.
That's very appropriate at Winged Foot.
Yes, so it seems like really most of our time here today should be talking about these green complexes and what we're going to see from that standpoint. They look to be lightning quick, but I don't know. Is this when we get these lightning quick greens? I feel like there are a couple ways it can go. It could really benefit those players that normally don't have that great of a putter, because everyone's going to be struggling and missing short putts, which could neutralize the putter, or it could seriously reward those that have a strong short game. So tell us about these green complexes around here and what we're going to see.
Yeah, the green complexes at Winged Foot are truly some of the best in all of golf. You know, they're up there with Augusta National. They've been described as like giant mushrooms curled and slumped around the edges. They've been described using a lot of oceanic terminology because they are very undulating, a lot of different waves and levels. And they're each of the 18 greens is truly like worth a deep study and very fascinating complex. What that's going to do though for these players is really put a premium on distance control, putting their approach shots on the correct levels, ensuring that they do not have to putt to a different level, which will bring in the chances of a 3-putt. It's also going to make the recovery game interesting. You know, on the side of every green except for one at Winged Foot, there are bunkers to the right and left. And when you add that into the undulations of the greens, it's going to really put a premium on both your scrambling ability and, again, that distance control on your approach shots.
Yeah, so being pin high, and it's, of course, the first player that comes to mind, Morikawa. Another player that's going to come to mind, and let me go ahead and give you some context in terms of DraftKings pricing, but talk to me about the weather we're going to see this week really quickly, and if you think a guy like Tiger Woods could be live. Another player who, when I think about dialing in your distances with the iron play, really comes to mind.
Yeah, the weather's looking pretty good all week. I don't think there's much rain. Pretty moderate temperatures, even a little bit warmer than what we saw at Harding Park in San Francisco. So mid-60s in the heart of the day, 50s in the morning and the evening. Wind will be fairly light, but it will be consistent throughout the weekend. So I don't think the weather will be a huge factor in taking players out of it or necessarily putting a premium on one aspect or another of a person's golf game. For Tiger, I think that is good news, because the other aspect about Winged Foot that is crucial is I don't think it is a bomber's paradise. It's a long golf course, but the part of the game, I wouldn't say distance is a necessary aspect for somebody to win here. More about putting the ball in the fairway, controlling the distance to the green, which has been a very solid aspect for Tiger so far this year. So yeah, I think Tiger, pending his health, has a very good shot.
I love it when Tiger's live. So this is awesome news for me. So let me give you a little bit of context in terms of DraftKings pricing. Colin Morikawa is the 6th highest priced player on the slate at $10,000 flat. Price behind Xander Schauffele, Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, Jon Rahm, and DJ, leading the players in pricing at $11,500. Tiger Woods is coming in at an $8,600 price tag. He's sandwiched between Adam Scott, who's $100 more expensive, and Patrick Reed, who's $100 cheaper than him. So based on the players they're surrounded by, what do you think? Anything jumping out? Does it seem egregious? Does it seem about right?
No, I think that seems about right. Tiger hasn't played a lot, so there's not a lot of recent history to go off of. There's still a lot of unknowns about Tiger, but as long as he gets his physical aspects in the right state, I do think Winged Foot is a golf course that can help him.
Okay.
So I think that's a good spot for Tiger, and honestly, I would think he wouldn't be a bad play for this week.
Okay, now let me ask you this: between the top 6 players in pricing, Morikawa, Schauffele, McIlroy, JT, Rahm, DJ, who do you like most?
I think the easy answer right now is Morikawa, and I do, absolutely wholeheartedly believe that. He hits it straight. His approaches, he's the best approach player in golf since Tiger Woods. So I think he's almost, I don't know if there's such a thing as a must take, but I think he's probably deservedly the hottest guy on there. Elsewhere, I like Rory. His ability to hit it high without a lot of wind, and also it being September at Winged Foot, it might not be quite as spicy on the fairways and the greens as it might be in June. So it might be a little bit slower. And with Rory's high trajectory, he should be able to hold the fairways, hold the greens with his approaches. And I know his recent major form has not been great, but I think this is a potential breakout for him. JT as well, because JT is great at hitting the fairway. His driving stats across the board are fantastic. Spin rate's low, which means that he should be able to hold these fairways.
Okay, so you've mentioned the last couple players and sort of strokes gained off the tee or driving accuracy. So tell me about hitting these fairways, being able to hold these fairways, and how penal is it going to be for players that aren't able to hold these fairways? We see some golf courses on tour where even if you miss the fairway, playing to the right angle into the green, especially when there are tough green complexes, is the more prudent approach. No pun intended. So I don't know. Is this more of a, and you said you don't think it's going to be a bomber's paradise. It makes me think that you're really taking maybe fairways gained into account here.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think the more the tool you're looking for more so is being able to hit those fairways and hold them, than putting yourself giving yourself the right angle to the green. Fuel Hands restored Winged Foot in 2017, took out a lot of trees. So if you're watching footage from 2006, the course is going to look slightly different from that. A little bit more open. However, the rough and those green complexes at Winged Foot are still not forgiving enough to, allow a player who misses the fairways to really maintain his position and not make bogeys. So I do think hitting the fairways is by far the more important tool this week.
Okay. So go ahead.
If I could add one more to that, yeah, the fairways are not too undulating either. It's a relatively flat property. So if you can put yourself in the right place on the fairway, you don't necessarily have to bomb it down as far as the fairway as you can. If you can put it in the right spot on these fairways, you might have a little bit longer approach shot, but that'll be worth it as opposed to being farther up the hole in the rough.
Okay. So we've worked our way from the greens to these fairways. So of course we're going to have to cover off the tee. A couple things that I want to ask you off the bat. Are we going to see a draw or a fade? And I mean, I do think we're going to have a couple lefties in the field, obviously, but we're going to see a right to left or a left to right ball flight play better this week off the tee. And if so, I'm going to definitely throw a couple players at you that certainly prefer to play one of those ball flights.
Yeah, this is one of the areas where Winged Foot is really unique and kind of makes it special amongst golf courses, because Tillinghast, when he designed this back in 1923, made it so that the course almost equally favors draws and fades. Of the holes, I think it's, I think something like 8 draws are required and 5 fades when we're talking about the long holes. So really, and of the last 5 holes, all of which are par 4s, 3 required draws, 2 required fades. So it really is pretty evenly split here.
Okay. So nothing that we have to, maybe if you're stuck in a dead heat tiebreaker, maybe play someone that prefers the right to left ball flight based on that, but.
Maybe, yeah. Or, a player who can work it both ways will really, really succeed here.
Okay. And when we think about guys who are able to work the ball, man, Tiger Woods again comes to mind, right? Man, we're really gonna have to look at Tiger this week.
Colin, Webb Simpson.
Yes, Webb as well, and Webb is a guy who we know can get a hot putter too. We know Webb's certainly capable. So, given putting all of this together, given what this golf course is going to ask of these guys this week, I feel like there's some correlation to being able to, if you can determine what the winning score is going to be, I feel like that sort of tells you what sort of golfer you're looking for. I feel like there are golfers that perform better in a tournament where the winning score is closer to even par than, some of these birdie fests, they get to minus 20. So what do you think, if in your estimation, about where do you think the cut line comes in and where do you think the winner is when it's all said and done?
Yeah, so there's a lot of really interesting historical data on this. In the history of major championships held at Winged Foot, U.S. Opens, U.S. Amateurs, etc., only 2 players have only ever finished the championship under par, and that was the winner, Hale Irwin, and one other guy in the 1976 U.S. Open that was held there. So it really is a difficult golf course. In 2006, it was well above par when Jeff Ogilvy won. And I think this week we're probably going to see a winning score right around even par. And as far as the cut line, it'll probably stand at around 6 or 7 over par would be my guess.
Okay, so if your lineups don't get off to a hot start, don't hit the panic button or anything like that if you guys make a couple bogeys out the gate.
I don't know if I would hit the panic button, but it will be hard to make birdies and make up ground here.
Okay. So par's a good score, and that really does lend itself to certain golfers. Guys that come to mind, Kevin Kisner. Let's check out where he's priced at.
Kids, yeah. Grinders are going to be huge this week, and obviously right now that means the name there is Brooks Koepka, but unfortunately we don't have him this week.
Yeah, man. I don't know what to think about what's going on with Brooks right now.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like there might be some real lingering issues there that aren't going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah, that might not be going away anytime soon. I hope he's, able to get back to major championship golf is when we love to see Brooks. So we're definitely going to miss him this week.
Yeah, he would have been a lock for a pick for me this week.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, guys who can just grind out these pars. Kisner coming in at $7,600. Man, that seems like even in a major championship field, it seems like a fair price tag for Kisner in the mid 7,000s. For context, Wes, he's only $100 more expensive than Jordan Spieth, who missed the cut at the Safeway last week. So give me Kiz over Spieth for sure. Coming in priced around guys like Louis Oostez and Shane Lowry, who honestly, Shane Lowry is a name that also sort of interests me here. What about the 2019 Open champ? What do you think about him?
Yeah, I think he's got a great grinding history. Although, honestly, of those 2 names you just mentioned, Louis sticks out in my mind as a guy who really shows up for big events, doesn't get phased a lot, and can really be a guy who can grind around this golf course, put his head down, make some crazy birdies out of nowhere, and put his name in the hat.
Okay. Okay, and Louis has been playing pretty well as of late. I like that. And he's typically low owned on DraftKings as well, because people seem to think he has such a high withdrawal risk. Because I mean, he has a history of withdrawals in his past, but I don't think it's anything to necessarily shy us away from him. So I like that. I like Louis.
You gotta
Okay.
love a guy who brings his own mattress to every professional tournament.
You certainly do, and a guy who has the second place Grand Slam to his name. He has come second in all 4 majors, so he certainly knows how to perform in them. And we don't need him to win it on DraftKings. We just need him to perform well.
No, yeah, I think, and once he gets up there, I think he's a guy who really sticks on leaderboards. And doesn't. Again, he's a grinder. I like Louis.
I love it. Okay, so before we get into the golf that we're playing at our respective home courses nowadays and the COVID Cups, tell me your favorite fun fact, or if you have a couple fun facts about the golf course that we're going to see this week.
Whew. About Winged Foot. Let's see. I do have a lot of facts. So I mentioned the only 2 players have only ever broken par over 4 rounds of the U.S. Open at Winged Foot. I think that's a really interesting fact.
Absolutely.
Even Oakmont, which is a traditionally hard U.S. Open venue, like they've had a couple U.S. Opens which have finished with winning scores under par. Same thing at Shinnecock. I think that's really, really fascinating. The other thing that I think is a interesting fact for when it comes to Winged Foot and really shows how much grinding is going to be important this week is that the low U.S. Open round ever shot there is only 66, 4 under par. It's par 70 course. That is not that low. I mean, even at Oakmont, you had Johnny Miller shoot a 63 in the final round there one time. Winged Foot does not give up low scores. So guys who can put their head down, accept pars, even accept 1 or 2 bogeys in there because they're just going to happen. Someone who's going to be really, really important to watch this week.
I love it. I love the breakdown, Wes. That's
one more fact if I can get one in.
Absolutely.
In the U.S. Open held back there, I think it was in the 40s or 50s, Ben Hogan on hole number 3. It's a par 3, 190 yards. Ben Hogan laid up in all 4 rounds on this par 3, 190 yards.
That reminds me of Phil, who laid
up
in
in all 4 rounds. He won the tournament. Laid up to ensure that he could get the ball in the correct level of the green. Pretty interesting. It says a lot about the green complexes at Winged Foot.
It certainly does. All right. Are there any other players other than the players that we've mentioned and spoken of that you like to compete this week for the win?
For the win, I think Patrick Reed might be a sneaky name. I know you mentioned him earlier. He does not really care what's going on around him. He's pretty impervious to everything else, and I think he fits our grinder definition. So I think he's definitely a name to watch. Adam Scott is also an interesting name. A very mixed record, but in the last couple of years he has poked his head up in some majors and really put his head out there. If he can get his putting dialed in this week, his approach game and off the tee game fits Winged Foot perfectly.
Awesome. Let's check where Adam Scott's priced. Not a guy I typically roster. When I do, it usually comes through for me, though. $8,700. That's fair. Absolutely fair price for Adam Scott. And for context, he is sandwiched between Jason Day, who's $100 more expensive, and Tiger, who's $100 cheaper. So,
yeah, I think that's a very fair price, and I think he might be someone to take. But we're kind of talking about a little bit of major demons with him, and that's always the big concern. And his putting too, which on these greens will be difficult. But he changes the putter up every round, and so maybe one of his putters will actually turn out to do the trick.
Yeah,
there's one more guy who, if he can slay his major demons, I think could be a factor and has the game that fits Winged Foot really well.
Don't say Ricky Fowler.
All right. Yeah. Then I got nothing.
Are you gonna say Ricky Fowler? All right, pitch me Ricky Fowler.
Ricky Fowler is a great putter, great lag putter. So I have, no issues with him around these greens. But also someone who has the driving stats that show that he can hit these fairways. The other thought is that maybe without fans, maybe a little bit of the major pressure is off a little bit. A lot of it might be self-inflicted at this point, but, I don't know if you can maybe somehow internalize that this isn't a major, there's no pressure. I think Ricky Fowler has the game that could fit Winged Foot really well.
Okay, man. All right. I mean, I don't know if I can play Ricky Fowler at $8,300.
I would not pick him to win. Do I think that, I think there's a high likelihood he could produce a good finish? Yeah, I think he could find some form here with no fans out there.
I mean, he's a guy that certainly has a path to it, right? And that's, you get scorching hot with that putter in that short game and find a little bit of form at the irons. Don't blow it with the driver, and you're right there.
Yeah. But, yeah. So we'll leave that there for people to stew on.
Yeah, maybe I'll do a deeper dive before I drop the video either tomorrow or on Wednesday. I'll do a deeper dive into Ricky and how he's been playing lately. I remember you missed the cut at the PGA, right?
Yeah. I don't think his form is super on right now, but, again, these guys, so much of it is just maybe finding one or two things in a week in a tournament and then, really being able to turn it on. And so maybe he's done that.
Maybe he has. And maybe I'll just sneak him into a lineup or two. Just for you, brother. Just for you. Just because you called it. I like it. All right. So before I let you go, I was playing at PGA West over this past weekend with some college friends, right? We were on a golf trip. It was unreal. I hit a putt on, I think it was 16 on the stadium course, and they have like these like raised like things in the cup, right? And I mean, the putt goes in it wasn't even moving very quickly. It just skips right out from the center of the hole. And obviously, like, everyone I'm playing with gives it to me, but like, what the fuck? Like, why is that there? What is the point?
That is
what if your ball, like, what if you would have had a hole in? What if that prevents you from getting a hole in one?
Yeah, the hole in one would be infuriating. I think your friends did the right thing. You made the putt, it's good, but it's kind of why we love golf is that satisfaction of seeing the ball drop in the hole. It's that it's those small things that you don't get with the cup raised.
The sound, right?
Yeah,
the sound of the ball like entering the hole, rattling into the hole. That's addicting.
I'm kind of surprised, of course, like PGA West is doing those raised cups still. Pretty much everywhere I've been playing now, just has the pin in, normal cups. They just tell you not to touch the pin, just grab your ball out. So that's interesting that PGA West is still doing the raised cups.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're doing. All right. Before I let you go, too, one more thing. You got to give me your winner. Who do you have to win?
You know what? I wish I could come up with something more creative, but I'm going to go with Colin Morikawa. Morikawa
takes back-to-back major championships. I don't think that's a popular take. I don't think, probably. Dustin Johnson's been playing some really good golf here lately. I think a lot of people are probably going to be hitched to the DJ wagon, but
I don't think that's bad train either. But I think Morikawa in 20 is as Spieth was in 2015.
Okay. Well, I like the call. I mean, the kid's got the iron game to do it. If anyone has the iron game to do it, it's Colin Morikawa. Wes, this was amazing. Thank you so much. You are a golf nut, just like me. So I love you joining me. I love you breaking down the golf course better than anyone I know could. Really appreciate it, my brother.
My pleasure. Thrill of the week to be on the show with you. I hope that I provided some insight and, maybe some good picks that people can use because there's quite a bit of pressure in what you're doing, so I respect that.
If Ricky Fowler comes top 5, I'm going to need you to come on every week.
Whew. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'll tell you what, it wasn't a name that would have ever entered my mind.
Yeah, I think, and for rightful reasons, he's kind of dropped off the radar in majors. But again, if he can exercise those major demons, I think he has a game that fits Winged Foot very well.
Well, we'll see if it happens. I'll invest a little bit in it myself. Hey, you keep hitting them well. I heard you've been playing some really good golf lately, so keep hitting it well. Keep hitting it straight. Really appreciate you joining me again, Wes, and we'll definitely have to do it again soon sometime.
My pleasure, B-Top. Take care.
All right, my brother. Talk to you later.